Thank you, Madam Chairman. And Senator Thompson, thank you for your service to our state and our nation. One of the things I did not hear you mention there in terms of what you agree with the bill is the cap on medical malpractice actions. And my basic question is, wouldn't that lead to a business-friendly environment? I mean, there have been a lot of studies cited here and a lot of stuff written on it. And reading from one article, it says, out-of-control medical malpractice lawsuits have been a problem in many parts of the country. For a long time, malpractice insurance costs can be driven so high that doctors and insurance companies flee to more reasonable business climates. And don't you agree with that assessment?
Senator, we're talking about Tennessee here. I can't speak to any other state. I have some information about various other states. That's just like when we talk about Mississippi. Mississippi was in such a bad shape, and they did some of the same things Tennessee did, and some other things, and they're in better shape now, and, more power to them. But they had a lower standard to start with. And in Tennessee, we have addressed an important issue back in 2008, as Senator Norris pointed out, in terms of, I call it certification that you got a meritorious lawsuit for a malpractice case. Malpractice cases in Tennessee are going down. Malpractice premiums in Tennessee are going down. Malpractice premiums are lower in Tennessee, I think, that I can say this correctly, than any other adjacent state.
They're actually lower than they are in Mississippi. State Volunteer Mutual Insurance Company, which writes insurance in both states, charges less for malpractice insurance today than they do in Mississippi. Yes. This is a fact.
There is.
Excuse me, Senator.
I know. I'm sorry.
Well, it's just, with all due respect, Senator, this argument that we're going to change the nature of health care in this state if we limit the rights of patients is just plain bunk. I mean, it has no basis in fact. It's not going to lower insurance premiums. They've already lowered. They were reduced last year by 23%. 23% because of the legislation passed by Senator Norris and now Senator Overby. 23%. In addition, State Volunteer, the largest insurer of doctors in the state, insures over 80% of our doctors. Last year returned a $20 million dividend back to their insured doctors. And notwithstanding all that, they had a 25% return on sales. Think about that. I wish Mr. Reeves was still here. He laughed after he spoke. But imagine having a business where your sales were X and your profits were 25% of X. Exxon's is less than 6. Walmart's is 6. Think about that profit rate. So what we have in Tennessee is a wonderful conservative environment. I'll tell you how bad it is. And I think Senator Yeager asked this question earlier. It is so bad in terms of medical malpractice cases that I don't ask for juries. I haven't asked for a jury in a medical malpractice case in 10 years. You know who asked for them? The doctors and the hospitals. So you have a situation where they come in and complain about juries to you when they lose. But when they win, juries are smart. Isn't it amazing? If they can persuade the jury, they're brilliant. But if they can't, they're wrong and they need to be kept in check. And that's a standard that maybe is interesting talking sitting around the bar or maybe in here, but in a courtroom we need some balance. And we've got a balance because we've got conservative, reasonable people who think about the facts. The people who elected you sit on a jury. The people who elected you sit on a jury. These are reasonable people. These are your neighbors. These are your friends. And they act in a responsible way.
So just to make sure I understand it, you do not agree with the cap on medical malpractice?
I think that was a hell no, wasn't it?
Well, let me let me just read a few more passages. We've talked about the Perryman study and how it confirmed and exceeded job growth in Texas, and that's really at the heart of what we're talking about here. Is how can we model what's happened in other states for job growth. This article continues. Only a few years ago, Texas was losing doctors fast. Rising malpractice insurance rates were fueling what analysts called a crisis. Out-of-control medical malpractice lawsuits have been a problem in many parts of the country for a long time. Malpractice insurance costs can be driven so high that doctors and insurance companies flee to more reasonable business climates, and with too few doctors, it's the patients who suffer the most. Then in 2003, Texas passed Proposition 12, capping non-economic damages in medical malpractice suits to $750,000. Now other states are considering similar legislation to stop the loss of their own doctors to Texas. Does that sound familiar?
Does it say how many doctors that they have in Texas now? Well, I think I can tell you, Ken.
Well,
I think
does it say, Senator, that malpractice insurance rates are actually less in Tennessee than they are in Texas? I mean, today, and I can give you that data tomorrow morning. They're actually less today than they are in Texas, notwithstanding the caps.
It says the doctors who were most likely to leave the state were those that hit hardest by malpractice insurance premiums, the high-risk specialists such as neurosurgeons, cardiologists, and obstetricians.
In Texas, obstetricians pay over $100,000 a year for insurance. In Tennessee, it's one half of that. One half.
I think there are fewer doctors today in Texas per 100,000 than there were before this was passed. I think the point is not that tort reform drives doctors out or in. The point is that most of this stuff has nothing to do with this other stuff. Doctors come and go for various reasons. Businesses come and go for various reasons. You can look at the statistics, and they're counterintuitive a lot of times in terms of where doctors go. You know, if you compare the legislation with the doctors and the economy and other metrics that we've looked at, they're counterintuitive. And we go to make a point, we can't make that point, but you can make another point. And the other side can make a point. It's just, the rooster thinks that the sun comes up because he crows every morning. But the cause and effect is just not there. You can point to this happening, and when this happened, and then this over here happened, and therefore this is because of this. This is a result of this. When you've got many, many, many other factors weighing into it. The point is, Tennessee is not losing any doctors. And Tennessee doctors, according to what I read when I started out, apparently going to the publication, at least in January, thought that they were doing very well in Tennessee.
Well, Madam Chairman, I appreciate the opinions that have been offered here today, but I just have to respectfully disagree. It seems to me that if it's good for Texas, then it's good for Tennessee.
Well, then would you agree that we shouldn't have caps on non-medical malpractice damages? I would draw the question.
I have to agree with the author of this article from 2007, which was Senator Fred Thompson.
Senator Campfield.
Thank you. The article you just quoted?
Yes.
Senator, did you write that?
I must have.
Why do you suddenly have a swaying of opinion? Why do you have a change of your opinion then?
Well, in the future, if you give me a chance to look at the article and know what you're talking about, and know the circumstances and what else might have gone with the article, with it, I could have given you a much more fuller response. But I will give you a gotcha on that, and I'll be back next week, and we'll talk about it some more.
Senator Campfield.
If I get a copy of that article, I'd like to see it, to see the full context, did you read the full context of it? That looks pretty complete.